What's going on, KahnawakeTV? It's good to be here. It's been a while since I've been on Chiefs Uncut. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about a recent trip that I made to Vancouver, British Columbia, between May 3rd and May 8th. It was to attend a conference it's an annual conference of the International Agency for Impact Assessment, which brought together people from all over the world, from Denmark to Ghana to Central America, South America, Mexico, the US, and of course, Canada. Of particular interest to me was speaking to or attending presentations having to do with the Indigenous perspectives here in our own land. And to that end, one of the things that I presented along with Patrick Regaz from the Kahnawake Environmental Protection Office. We had the first presentation on Wednesday to the conference, and it was well received. We were talking about the work that we've been doing with the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada with regard to a regional impact assessment on the St. Lawrence River, which we're currently meeting with the Impact Agency of Canada for scoping out the terms of reference and how that work will proceed. While I was there after the presentation, I had the opportunity, the president of the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada and vice president had wanted to take a few minutes to meet me and do a bit of a meet and greet, which went very well. And I'm looking forward to working together. I had met the president before with respect to the Contra Court Port project. So while we were there, I also attended other workshops having to do with things such as FPIC, which is Free, Prior, Informed Consent, and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and how that's working out on the ground in terms of impact assessment, taking into account the concerns of Indigenous people in Canada. It was really wonderful because when I did my presentation, I talked about the amount of impacts that Kahnawake has suffered in the last 200 years in terms of degradation of our environment because of projects and so on, and not the least of which is the St. Lawrence Seaway, which began work the year I was born. Yeah, that makes me old. So it was very good because I approached the work from the perspective of KahnawakeTV. I had the wonderful opportunity of listening to an Anishinaabe elder talk about her people's view of the environment, about creation, and the need for people to recognize that as Indigenous law, not just merely culture. And the thing about it that was really amazing was that how close it was to our own, to the KahnawakeTV in terms of that respect for creation, that we're relations to all of creation, and that we need to be mindful of our relationship with creation. I attended a number of, as I said, the workshops and having to do with Indigenous subject matter. And I tended to be fairly outspoken in terms of my questioning of of the United Nations Declaration as it's been passed into Canadian legislation, in terms of what I consider and what we have considered to be some of the flaws and weaknesses with it. But overall, very good experience. And the thing about it was really good is it's an opportunity to network with people Indigenous people from British Columbia, from the territories, Northwest Territories, in the Inuit territory. I think it's called Inuvik. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me. But we were approached after our presentation by people from different areas of the country who wanted to know about our experience and how we got to manage to be successful in getting a regional impact assessment. The thing for me was always that, in my work in terms of consultation, it always seems like, that if you're consulting on a project and you want to talk about cumulative impacts, it's very narrow in terms of the proximity to the project that you're talking about cumulative impacts. But with the KahnawakeTV kind of approach to it, it's something that really encompasses and scopes out the whole of the river. and all of the life within it. And so that's very important for me. And it ties in, I think, with some of the work that was being done and being spoken of in different parts of the country too, and particularly that one lady, that elder that spoke. Her name was Florence Painter. You know, that this is, we need to start framing this as Indigenous law when we come into these engagements. It's not just you know, myths, legends, and cultural so and so. Anyways, I just wanted to share that. Okay, I'm going to be attending the rally in Montreal that's going to be taking place in terms of Bill 96, which is also high on Council's focus at this point in time. Obviously, people know about this in the community. The community is very concerned about that. You know, I consider what Quebec is doing here with this bill is really, it's crossing into the territory of racist actions. It's really uncalled for. You know, I don't think anybody in their right mind can say that the French language in Quebec is endangered, and to impose the kind of strictures on our students is going to make it very difficult for our people to meet with success in post-secondary education. You know, none of us chose to have English as the main language of commerce in our communities, or French for that matter. And that's the approach that we're taking with the Assembly of First Nations of Quebec and Labrador as well. That's a result of colonialism. So the battle will continue on that, regardless of whether Quebec ends up passing that bill or not. They seem to be intent on it, but we will be looking at measures. It's never going to apply in Kahnawake. So with that, I just want to say Nyawa for your time, and say Onagiwahi, and look forward to being back at Chiefs Uncut in the near future. Nyawa, Onagiwahi.